We'll get into our next running back here. It is Mr. Jonathan Taylor, our fourth running back. Finished 33rd last year, but obviously played in 10 games last year. He averaged 15.6 points per game. That average over a 17-game span would have made him the RB7. So, the fact we have him here at 4, we're also going to live in a world in which Anthony Richardson, we all pray, is going to be healthy. And that world could be dynamic in Indianapolis. Steve, I'll go to you first. What says you on Mr. Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, a few years back, 2021, number one running back. Easily could say he's, one of the maybe the most talented running back in the league. I mean, he's close. He's not CMC, not as
he's right there, though.
When he's healthy, when he's right, he could break off those 60, 70-yard runs. Colts offensive line was better last year. 2 years ago, it was a little bit of a hot mess. They bounced back last year. Now you got Richardson. That's going to open up the offense. You got Stike in there, who's doing a good job. So, yeah, I mean, Taylor is very, very intriguing. I think, if you start, like, you're in that 12 spot and you could start your draft with like a Taylor Gibbs or a Saquon Taylor, those two backs, you feel pretty good. Taylor really is just, it could be the number one guy. So like I said earlier, he's kind of in that first tier with me with CMC, Breece, Bijan, to possibly finish number one overall. I could see it happening, especially if Richardson's healthy all year. It's going to open up so many opportunities for him.
There you go. Anthony, you have anything?
Yeah, I don't there's a teardrop after CMC and Breece and Bijan Robinson for me, and that teardrop, it starts with actually Saquon, then JT is my 5. The issue I have with Jonathan Taylor is really lack of pass catching ceiling. He can catch passes out of the backfield. We've seen it flash a little bit, career high 40 for 360 back in 2021, which happened to be the year he was the fantasy football RB1. But I just don't know if he's going to be utilized in that role as much with Anthony Richardson. Now, what I like about this situation, the threat of the RPO, and you're going to hear me talk about this a lot with running backs in the next few sequences. Can Jonathan Taylor benefit from Anthony Richardson? Because if you're the enemy defense, how do you stop? Do you focus on Jonathan Taylor, who's a punishing in between tackles running back, or do you try to take out Anthony Richardson, who punished defenses in a small sample size? We've seen him last year. It's going to be very impossible to stop. If Jonathan Taylor pops, I can see a top 3 finish. I just don't know if he has it in him to crack that top 2. But it's all there. If you're drafting a running back early, Jonathan Taylor should be one of those ones on your list. An offensive line that, they excel at run blocking, the RPO threat at quarterback, and very solid upside skill position players around him. And again, like JT, right now he's injury free. Hopefully that extends throughout the season, but we're not really worried about anything. And even last year there was a contract discrepancy. He's going into this season fresh, mentally and physically. And I think it's very important.
Which sometimes, again, the whole mental thing, that does play a part. I mean, I know it's defensively,
Brandon Ayuk.
Well, Brandon Ayuk potentially this year, but I was going to say, in terms of San Francisco, Nick Bosa has admitted that last year, taking as long as he did to sign, to come to an agreement, he felt like that kind of hindered him a little bit, or kind of screwed up his juju, so to speak. These guys are creatures of habit. So there is that. There's very much that dynamic where that can affect your performance. Pete, did you have anything to give us on Mr. Jonathan Taylor? Or
yeah, I had Taylor ranked as RB7 for me. I know that might sound a little down. It has nothing to do with his talent. For me, Jonathan Taylor, it's really kind of what Anthony said. It's the receiving ability. I think Shane Steichen's really good. And I think they're going to utilize Taylor well, but a healthy Anthony Richardson for a full year makes me more down on Taylor than up, just because of the worry that he's going to take touchdowns away. They just added Adonai Mitchell. So that's another target in the red zone. Michael Pittman Jr. was in the top 10 for red zone targets last season. So like you're bringing back Anthony Richardson. You have Pittman, who's a red zone threat. I worry about it. And when I look at Jonathan Taylor, I mean, last year he only had one week where he was in the top 5, and that was with Anthony Richardson not playing. So like my thing is, yes, will the offense be more efficient and probably move down the field more? Yes. But I do worry that like even with the threat of Richardson stealing touchdowns away and stealing attempts away when he scrambles out of the pocket and runs, like Jonathan Taylor, and yes, I get it. He was banged up a little bit last year, and he has a fresh, clear head. I do think he's going to be good for fantasy. I prefer guys like Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne over him, and Saquon for me.